Hello guys, and we're here today with another awesome deck profile. We're here today with, I call this DracoMagicians. Pretty much, this is supposed to be like the successor to PMAG, the deck that got wrecked by the adjusted list. And I will admit that I'm just kind of giving out just more casual decks. That's going to be my plan, just a variety of more casual decks until we get the ban list. Then I'm going to go over all of the different decks. And if we don't get a ban list, then the format's going to stagnate. And that won't be good. But yeah, this deck is supposed to be the successor to PMAG. And if you remember PMAG, it was pretty much, we didn't run a lot of the Draco Slayers, but we ran Plush Fire, we ran the other one, Mirror Conductor, and then Damage Juggler. And it was really good, it was really fast. You could make rank 4s out for days, and this deck is supposed to be that deck where you can just make rank 4s for days and do stuff like that. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the combos, it doesn't have a lot of the power that Draco Pals does. It doesn't have any run card scales, which granted though Draco Pals only have one because they only have one keyboard. But this deck definitely has some different combos, and the idea is that if I put in enough pendulums, Wavering Eyes is always going to be live, and I'm always going to be able to set up for combos. I'm always going to be able to do a variety of stuff. So to Dragon Pit, he says, I like him. You don't need to run him because there isn't anything greater than 4, so if you want to run a level 5, well, there is this guy. If you want to run a scale 5, you can, but I like him because of his effect of being able to pop back row. That's very extremely useful. Just every turn, alright, I have one pendulum in my hand, I'm just gonna pop it, which can result in long-term side effects because you won't have anything in your extra deck. But I mean, if you have this guy, you can add something back, pop, and then hopefully have some combos. And then for the Draco Slayer engine, we're running only 3 of these guys, and then him. We're not running the Draco Overlord because we're not running Draco Face Off. We're actually running Painful Decision, which I like a little bit better. And of course, 3 Dragon Pulse Magician. We're running 3 and 2 of him because we want 3 because we want to make sure this card is live. And then Oath Dragon, just being able to add Wisdom Eye back to your hand, really good. And there are some combos with Wavering Eyes and this guy that are kind of ridiculous. You can activate him, activate Wisdom Eye, and then Wisdom Eye can destroy himself to place another pendulum. You can place Dragon Pulse in there, and then use Oath Dragon's effect to add Wisdom Eye back to hand. Wisdom Eye, both this card and this card, your 2 scales that you have. And then search for a Joker, and then Joker will be summoned, and search out another Wisdom Eye, and then you can place the second one and a Dragon Pit, and then you have a scale on 2 XZs, 2 level 4s, 3 level 4s in your extra deck, and then a level 6 that you can all just summon out. So there are some really good combos where you can just make huge fields. And that only requires 3 cards. That's a 3-card combo. And then Luster Pendulum. Of course, there's one of him, like I said, and then 1 Joker because, well, he's at 1. Aeronade, I decided to put her in because we're all running 3 of each, well, 3, and then Warning. So definitely not useful. I actually had her as a scale once, so that was actually pretty useful, although I still ended up losing because the one time I activate Warning and I don't have to pay life, the guy has Ultimate Providence and a trap card in hand, so he was able to negate it. But Aeronade, being able to not pay if she's in the scale is good, and she's a great scale. She's 3, so you can pendulum summon your 4s if you get out something higher, and her effect to search back row is really good. And then Tricktown, he's good. Even without the real Pepe engine, with all the other performance monsters, he's still great because he's still a 1-card XZ, and that's what makes him so nice, is that sometimes I'll be able to just XZ summon and then he just stays there on my field. I always have that, so if I get into the point where I have to be top decking, I can still XZ summon. Because sometimes when I wasn't playing Trick Clown, because when I started this, I was playing like Odd Eyes, Pure Odd Eyes, Magi Spectres, and I put in Dracos, and then eventually I took out the Odd Eyes. It's just when I was playing Trick Clown in those decks, it just helped a lot, because when I wasn't, I just was top decking and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't XZ summon, I couldn't really make a field. And then Wisdom Eye, like I said, he will destroy himself to place a scale in your Pendulum Zone if you control a Magician or Perform Power card. And then Painful Decision, we're only running 2 because you can only activate 2. It dumps a normal monster, a low 4 low normal monster, and you can add another copy of the same card. So we're running 2 because you use it for once on him, dump 1, add him, and then you cannot use it the second one on him because there's only 1 in the deck, and you have to have 2, and so you'd use it on this guy. Now of course if you would use our Diagust Emerald to return them back to the deck, then yada yada yada, you could activate 3. But I don't want to risk clogging, but you do want to see this card. I am having a little bit of trouble deciding if I want this card at 301 because it's extremely useful. It's the only real searcher in this deck that says like, alright, you can add Dragon Pulse or you can add Draco Slayer to hand, whichever one you need. 1 instant fusion and then 1 soul charge. Those are our monster reborns, just being able to add stuff back, make more XZ summons. This deck is very aggressive with all these back row that cost life points. You're not going to be able to get off all of them, and including with like Trick Clown costing 1000 life every turn. You won't be able to activate all of these back row, but the idea is that you can create such a huge board that you should be fine. And then Pendulum Call, just great, just being able to add 2 cards, just turn 1 other card into something else. If you have the Trick Clown, it's amazing setup for combos. The only problem is it doesn't work with Wavering Eyes and Wisdom Eye Magician because you cannot destroy your own pendulum, so you can't do extended combos, but nonetheless it can get you a scale just easily. So I like it, and if it isn't very useful, if I don't feel it's useful for me to use that, then I will use Tsukiyomi and just ditch it. Just ditch it to draw 2 cards, set everything else in my hand. And then triple Wavering Eyes, kind of along the lines of stun, but nonetheless it does activate some combos, like I said with this guy. And of course Aeronauta being destroyed would allow you to search for a strike or a warning. And then 2 Twin Twisters. I do like to go second with this deck, just to have that extra draw so I can be a little bit more consistent. But I don't like to want to play 3. I just don't know what I'd take out. If anything, it'd be the Regeki, and I don't want to take out my Regeki. And plus we have the Dragon Pit, so back row shouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I should be able to get over it pretty easily. And of course for discard cards there's the Draco Slayers, which you can always get back with Dino Stir and then Trick Clown. And then for our trap cards, Time Space and Bottomless, this is kind of for Rafflesia, just being able to make her and then have another stun card along with maybe 1 or 2 other back rows such as Strike, Warning, Wavering Eyes, or Twin Twister itself. And that is it for the main deck. It is a fun deck, nonetheless it's a fun deck, but it isn't perfect, it by no means is close to that, and it isn't extremely competitive. I wouldn't expect this deck to do extremely well at a regionals or YCS, but at a locals this deck is a fun alternative. I really like the Magician engine as our Pendulum engine, just being able to do all that Pendulum Call, being able to protect yourself from Wavering Eyes. Your opponent can't Wavering Eyes, they can't Twin Twister stuff. That's really extremely useful, because so many times if you go first, you set up your scale, you get a decent board, and then boom, your opponent plays 2 scales and then Wavering Eyes, and then you're just done because they got off of 4 Wavering Eyes. And this deck can protect against that. This deck can do very well against that to prevent such things, and I like that, and the entire engine as a whole. So now for the extra deck, of course Dino Stir and 2 Ignisters, and then Magister, that is our Draco Slayer engine. And so being able to protect your monsters and your cards in your Pendulum Zone, again, going back to this, making it so they can't be destroyed, and then just more aggressive, being able to summon out a light monster that you can then use to make Tsukiyomi is really nice. And then of course in order to go with the Instant Fusion, and then we're running Utopia the Lightning, definitely running Utopia the Lightning with the ability to use his effect twice. I just like being able to get off his effect twice. He's really great this format, being able to stop the Phantom Knight, stop the Dante, stop the Burning Abyss, just stop all that. No, it's an Armades, it's 5,000 attack, and it can help out a lot when you get to go for game. In fact, I've a couple of times thought about putting in the Performance XYZ Skull. No, not Skull. I almost said Skull Choker. I can't remember his name. Trapeze Magician, because being able to attack twice with this guy, 5,000 each, well, if you're attacking into a monster. If you're attacking directly, then it's 5,000, and then you get another 25 with Trapeze Magician himself. But yeah, Trapeze Magician wouldn't be bad, and make the deck extreme OTK. Dark Rebellion, I don't make them too much, but Dark Rebellion, Cast Down 101, they all have purposes. If your opponent doesn't have a lot of back row, and the monster wouldn't be awful to have in the grave, like it's not a real threat if it's in the graveyard, then make Dark Rebellion. If your opponent has back row, and you don't want the monster to be in the graveyard, then make 101, so that way if they have something to destroy him, he can protect himself. And then Castell, if you don't want that monster in the graveyard, if that monster cannot be in the graveyard, then go and put him back in the deck. That's how I always make it. So like for example, our Necroz or Trishul, if he's already been summoned, there's no reason to Castell him, and there's really no reason to 101 him because Necroz never played a lot of back row. So if I saw Necroz or Trishul, I'd always use Dark Rebellion against him. Now if I saw something like Trick Clown in attack position, or maybe just a Pendulum that was Pendulum summoned, then I might make 101 because Pendulum decks from back row, and or like the Trick Clown because it's probably in defense mode, I'd Castell it to get rid of it. So just a little bit of tips with those guys. And then of course the Magister, like I said, Tsukiyomi being able to ditch one card at least, and then draw 2 cards, really great. Helps with getting more back row and just getting 2 key cards sooner, and can result in combos with Trick Clown and the whatnot. Digress to Emerald to return Utopia and Utopia the Lightning, which is amazing, or any of our other stuff to the graveyard, or to the extra deck, or return stuff like Joker or scales like Wisdom Eye. And then of course we're running Abyss Dweller for the Burning Abyss, for the Monarchs, for pretty much every deck except Draco Pals. And then Rafflesia, if you don't have these guys, it's just easy to make, and like, alright, I have a stun card, my opponent won't be able to do much to her unless I have Regeki or can attack over her, which if they can attack over her, then you can bottomless her, or time space her, or time space the monster they summon. And so that is it for this deck. Again, it's casual, it's not going to be very competitive, but it is fun deck, and it does deserve a chance. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Again, I am just kind of waiting for the ban list to come out. Once the ban list comes out, I am going to go through every single deck. So again, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe.